Hi, welcome to Midwest Magic Cleaning. My name is Scully Foxmolder, and today we're going to be cleaning out 3 closets that are kind of crazy because they haven't been opened in more than 35 years. When I opened up the door to these closets, the stuff that's inside retained its shape, meaning that it was pressed against the closet door, and it was so packed in there that it took us hours to get everything out. And though a lot of the stuff that we found was just random junk, we did find some really kind of crazy stuff in here that we'll get to a little bit later in the video, including some of the first video games ever made, like even before Nintendo, before Atari 2600, some really, really old school games. A lot of old board games. I found a parent-teacher conference book that was from like the 1940s, but anyway, we'll get to that here in just a bit. So to start off, this closet in this room was about 10 to 15 feet long, and there's one access door, or actually there's 2 access doors to it, but it's so packed you can't get more than just a couple feet into it. So I had to start at one end and just kind of deconstruct this thing one box at a time and hope it didn't cave in on me. Then to make sure that we're not throwing anything valuable away, I had to go through each one of these boxes and kind of pick out things piece by piece. And we set aside all the stuff that had sentimental or monetary value in one pile, and then we put all the junk that could go into a dumpster in another. Now this is actually kind of a part 2. We did a video of this house last week where we cleaned, I think it was a kitchen, a living room, a utility room, and we got rid of just an absolute ton of stuff. An old bedroom that's now a storage room. Check it out, it's a headlight. And a lot of people were concerned that we were throwing away things into a dumpster and not donating anything. Trust me, there is way, way, way more stuff than is contained within that dumpster that's getting donated to churches, charities, and whatnot. There is absolutely no way that we could donate every bit of this stuff because, one, not everything that we're throwing away is something that a charity would want. And I know because I've reached out to a couple different charities and they just weren't interested in getting this stuff. And 2, it's a matter of time. It would take us months to donate all of this, to find the people who wanted it, to organize the transportation. This guy's mental health is my number 1 priority. And so the thing that was best for him was to get this out of his sight and out of his home and into a dumpster as fast as possible. We had a very short window to do all of this work. And so we actually got through this house in about 4 days, which is kind of incredible. But that's a long time in the mind of someone who has inherited a hoarder house and has hoarding tendencies themselves. And that's plenty of time for somebody to look around at their belongings and say, you know what, I've changed my mind. I don't want to get rid of it. Let's just keep it because it has value. Now, Jason's with me today, and you'll see him a little bit later on in the video. I'm trying to control my rage while I'm working with him because he's such a sack of filth that a lot of times I can't even bear to look at him without just seizing up, both mentally and emotionally, and sometimes even physically. I will seize up and lock myself into place. But it's a small price to pay to have the extra person around to help me carry this stuff to a dumpster. An old pinball game. It's got to be maybe 1970s. I can't remember. I know, see it. I remember seeing it when I was a kid. And then there's Breaker 19, the CB Truckers game. That has got to be out of the 1970s probably, because trucking and CB radios got huge in the 1970s. Cabbage Patch Doll, those were extraordinarily expensive when they first came out. And that's probably still worth quite a bit of money. Oh, hey, since we're watching this speed through, We've done some pretty big things in the past week, including getting set up on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and all that. Go to the About tab, and you'll find the links to all the social media stuff there. I do post on those pretty regularly. Or if you don't want to follow that stuff, you can just suck it, and that's all there is to that. I'll tell you that right now, son. We also have our first 2 t-shirts up and ready to sell. The members have already gotten access to them. We're selling t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, and all the stuff that you would expect. But our first 2 designs are done. And one of them is a Suck It t-shirt, and the other one is a Hey Look More Dishes t-shirt. I will link all of that stuff down in the description, and you will buy one, or I will straight up drop an elbow onto your neck. And that's what I do. You buy the stuff, and then you thank me for it, for taking your money. I deserve that much, son. I deserve your money and also your thanks. Because I'll tell you straight up, I don't put up with people not giving me money and also not thanking me. That's why they call me Johnny Won't Put Up With It back in Austin. They're like, yo, man, is that old Johnny Won't Put Up With It? And they're like, I don't know, let's not give him any money or thanks and see how he reacts. And then things get real, son. They get real fast. We found so many bowling balls in this house. I'm serious whenever I say I think we found 10. At a bare minimum, it was 8, but I think it was 10. And then we found like a whole bunch of bowling pins, but not a full set, like half a set of bowling pins. But every time I got into a new closet, there would be another 1 to 3 bowling balls. Oh my God, lawn darts. Those are actually illegal. Yeah, they ended up having to discontinue them because people were getting injured with them. Jeez. Called them lawn darts or jarts. Cap gun. I used to have these when I was a kid. Caps go in the side there, and then as you pull the trigger, the caps rotate up, and then this slams down on them to make it pop. Bugs Bunny's birthday surprise. Slot machine bank. Small fingers and very light.
Oh.
I'm showing some of these books, but I'm not going to show them all because one of them is a set of like kids' encyclopedias. And there's like, I don't even know, 25 to 30 of them. I go through the stuff that's not encyclopedias, but the encyclopedias just got boring because it was such a huge stack of them.
Oh, this is like...
Are those showing up on there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Really good angle, too.
Yeah, there's one of the stacks. I ended up going through a couple stacks of those. I should have read them all and just learned everything. I mean, I was there. They were in my hands.
Black Dots 10? Oh, this is cool. There we go.
Vincent Price. Yep. That may actually be worth something just for the Vincent Price part. Wow. Class of 1955. I want that to be set out separate, and I want to put that on his table that we moved.
Oh, okay.
1959. It's a horse, idiot. This house had so many books in it. I really, if I would have had time, and I'm not joking about this, I would have built him a wall-mounted bookshelf to put all these in. He had hundreds upon hundreds of books scattered throughout the house. Ripley's Believe It or Not. Flinch. I think that's where you go like this to your kid, and if they flinch, you get to slap them. That'd be a game from the 1950s. That would be appropriate. Getting rook. There we go. That would be worth a little bit of money to electronics collectors and old video game collectors. I didn't realize it at the time. I knew that that was one of the first handheld game systems. It's just a weird, like a see-through piece of plastic for a screen. It's not really a TV screen. And then they use red LEDs to make these little blippy lights. And it's really crude and primitive. But I didn't realize at the time that that was a Battlestar Galactica handheld. So we looked up the prices on it and the blip thing, and they're worth anywhere from about $100 to $150 per. So we set those aside. And what you're seeing here in the living room is everything that came out of the first half of that closet. We still got the other half to go, as you'll see here. Closet, if even that. Another bowling ball down there. That's a rock tumbler. And then this was a Kiss 8-track. We saved a few of those 8-tracks back, like Kiss, The Doors, Mac Davis, and a handful of them, but there was a lot of them that were damaged beyond repair, and some of them were just collections of music that were just generic. Cross-country ski. Poles to go with them. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Parent Teachers Association, 1942 to 1943. This closet was especially hard to clean because we needed to remove all the old clothing, and that was his mom's old clothing. If you've watched the first video, you know the kind of heartbreaking story behind this is that his mother passed away from cancer. He inherited the house. It was a hoarded house. He has hoarding tendencies himself. Then whenever he moved into the house, he also got cancer. And so removing that clothing was an issue for him. But fortunately, he was really brave and recognized what he had to do. And he saved back a couple of pieces of really nice clothing. But for the most part, he got rid of almost everything. I was really proud of him for that. Okay, now is the trek to get everything in the dumpster. And we're also putting, so not all this is going to the dumpster. Some of it is going into a storage room that's meant for valuables. Some of it is going into a storage room that's meant for like memorabilia and old keepsakes that have like emotional attachment to them. The closet will have some stuff put back into it, like paintings and things that really shouldn't be out in the light if it's going to be stored long term. But there's a lot of this that did go into the dumpster because even if it has value, he doesn't physically have the room in his house to keep a lot of this stuff, like most of this stuff. And most of it is not something that thrift stores or charities will take. So we just had to make some hard decisions and run with it and say this stuff can go to the dumpster, so be it. And then this other stuff can be held back for sentimental or monetary value. God, look at him. Every time he walks across that floor, it takes everything I've got to not just put him in a headlock and give him a DDT right there on that carpet. A belly-to-belly suplex, like right up against the wall. And I'd get right in his face and say, "This is the world, Jason. This is the world." And then he'd start crying, and I'd be like, "Don't be crying. You just stop being a bag of filth, and the world will be okay with you." I'm tired of it. Tired. Hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, don't be a filth Jason. Don't be a Jason filth. We've already gotten past the 100,000 mark, so we've already got our silver plaque, and now we're on the race to 1 million, which is the gold plaque, which is totally out of reach, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't try. So if you haven't subscribed, that would be cool. It doesn't really affect channels that much as far as I understand, but it would be cool to have the gold plaque. Then I could put Jason in a figure 4 right on top of it, and it gives added leverage. Now this is the closet that I thought would have a lot of really cool stuff in it, but this is where his mom just stashed a bunch of her old stuff. There were just a ton of purses and shoes and random objects that had been just crammed in this closet, sort of an out of sight, out of mind sort of deal for many years. Now as we got back toward the middle, we did find some cool stuff, but I'll point those out whenever we get to them. Otherwise it was just bowling trophies and like 8th place in a blah 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 tournament. One of the things I find a lot in hoarded houses is that they tend to keep purses and bags, shoes, medication, and old bills, like every house. This is also where we started to find a massive amount of change. Like, we found a bunch of change before when we were cleaning out in the first video, but we just kept finding it and finding it in this one. Every closet had tons of change in it. I think by the time we finished cleaning this house, we must have found $100 to $150 worth of just spare change. It'd be kind of interesting to find somebody who is tedious enough to go through the task of looking at all the coins to find out which ones are collectible, because there's a lot of 50-cent pieces, dollar coins, and just thousands upon thousands of pennies. Surely somewhere in there, especially since these closets haven't been opened in 35 years plus, surely there's a bunch of change in there that's worth something. I found a big bag of fireworks, and I just put it over to the side and let him know right away that I found that, because I don't know how they'll react having sat for a long time, but I would assume that it would be not good to have those in there, but I also didn't want to throw them in a dumpster either. Oh yeah, old school video game again. I think that's an old baseball game, so we put that one to the side too. I call them video games, but they're just handheld games. And then we found an old school tape recorder. All of that stuff got put in a potentially valuable Tupperware tub. About here's where we started running into things like scrapbooks. He had drawings from when he was like 4 years old. I thought that was really cool. And then we ran into a bunch of her craft products. There was even like a Christmas gift that had old like summer sausage and stuff in it that had to have been 30, 40 years old. So yeah, those went out in the dump. Oh, hey, another bowling ball. But then as we got further back into the closet, that's where we started finding some of the valuable stuff, like a bunch of records. And there's an old record player. We found an old TV. It's like a mini television that people would put on counters at stores and stuff while they were working, so you could just sit and watch TV without having a giant box on your counter. I know a lot of people when I was growing up who had them on their kitchen counters. We'll see that here in a minute, though. It's pretty neat. You only see a flash of it because I forgot to take a picture of it because I'm an idiot. We were on the lookout for baseball cards in this closet, too. He said that they had some, but we didn't run into any. If they're there was one section of the closet I couldn't reach, and it had a bunch of like records and record players and stuff like that were all stacked up neatly together that I don't think anybody's been able to get to in decades. If those baseball cards exist, they would be back in that area. I was going to try to squeeze back there because I really wanted to see what those records were, but I'm also 6'4" and about 220 pounds, so it's not exactly an easy fit for me inside of an old closet. And the other door is frozen in place too. It took everything I had just to open this one. Hey, another bowling ball.
Oh. Skills.
Hey, check it out, a bowling ball. There's that TV I was talking about. The screen is on the right-hand side. It's on the very end. And then the speakers and stuff are on the long side. Now, the last time we were here, we went through a lot of his cabinets and got rid of a bunch of old food, but I didn't get a chance to go through all these canned goods. So I'm going to buzz through these real quick and get rid of all the ones that are expired or past the best by date. April 2016. Most of the ones that were expired had gone past the best by date between 2016 and 2019. October of 2003. We have a winner! Bing! But we were able to get rid of about 75% of all the canned goods he had. Then the big thing I wanted to do in this room was all of his cabinets were just kind of a mishmash of everything. There was some cabinets that had plates and cups and bowls and some pans in them. And actually pretty much all the cabinets were like that. So I wanted to put all the Tupperware in one cabinet, all the plates and bowls in another, all the glasses in another, and at least have those consolidated to where each cabinet has a purpose, rather than just holding whatever random thing he happened to just shove in there. This was the cabinet that annoyed me because that had a little bit of everything in it. So the best thing to do in a situation like this is just to take everything out and then start it from scratch. I took most of the things out, and I knew that one of the things I wanted to do was get the cups out of the top and put them into the cup cabinet. Then it made it a whole lot easier for me to organize the plates, bowls, and the few things I wanted to keep in here, because now we have more space to work with. Now, given he doesn't even use plates, he uses paper plates for everything, but just in case he wanted to actually use real plates, I put them down within reach, and then I made the cabinet a little bit more functional so he could reach certain things that he would use all the time if he decided to start using them. And this is what it looked like afterwards. He's got a lot of spices, so it was very hard to find places for those because he's on a keto diet, and spices are a big thing in keto. And then you can basically only eat like meat and cheese. He was put on that diet for a reason. If you didn't see the first video, he dropped over 280 pounds. 280. And this was after he had gotten cancer, had his lower intestine removed, and there are very strict rules that he has for his diet. This is the last closet. It's a small one, but it's really tightly packed in there. And we find a massive amount of change in this, as well as some jewelry. In fact, I think I found 3 jewelry boxes. And then even more records. The records that I found in this one were pretty awesome. I'll slow it down so you can see those here in just a bit when we get to them. Oh my God, I was so mad because Jason was there breathing my air, and I just wanted, like, if you breathe your own air, that's fine. You go in another room and you breathe that air, but don't come in my air acting like you own something. Standing there with his teeth in his mouth. I'm sick of it. Sick of it. Oh, speaking of Jason, who is a giant bag of filth, one of the t-shirts that we're getting ready to make is a t-shirt with Jason's face on it with the word filth in all giant bold block letters underneath it. That'll be coming before too long. We've already got the 2 designs that I mentioned earlier, and then we're going to try to add 1 to 2 more designs per week until we get our main core ideas all put together in a nice little shop. And for those wondering, Jason will be getting the majority of the proceeds from the Jason's Face Filth shirt. Otherwise, he'll start crying and be like, hey, you're exploiting me. And I'm like, I'm your dad. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'll exploit you right in the face is what I'll do. Old calligraphy kit. We'll keep it for the heck of it. Just for the poop of it.
That's calligraphy.
Jeez. More change. Everywhere. Just nothing but change. There was so much change that bag couldn't hold it all. So eventually I ended up getting a giant pot that I found in the closet and put all the change into that. And it's not even all the change that we found in the house. It's everywhere. There are cups and jars and pots and baskets filled with just hundreds of dollars in change. Fortunately, we're not the type of people to take stuff like that. Like, the only change that I want is Jason to change his face before I change it for him. The 45s had a couple of records that were decent. There was Earth, Wind, and Fire, Dolly Parton, and a couple of hit and miss decent ones. But the real good stuff doesn't come up until I get to the 33s. And that's mainly because I found a few that were still sealed. Illinois corn squeezins. Corn squeezins. The Bee Gees. Rascals. That's still in the cellophane. Joe Cocker, still in the cellophane. Contemporary hits. Three Dog Night. Doors. Still in the cellophane, still sealed. Doors. Still sealed. There may have been some expensive albums in the ones that were loose and out of the covers, but I only looked through a couple of them, and then I just had him put all the albums in one album pile in another room. So we just ended up keeping all those. Elephant, and hey look, more change. Oh, hey, look, another bowling ball. I mean, there were so many bowling balls in there that we could have played a game of dodgeball with them, which now I really, really want to do. You like, say, 10 people out there and just go to town with those suckers, playing the Jackass theme. There on the corner of the bed, there are 2 jewelry boxes covered in dust. I just put those back with the jewelry still in them on a bottom shelf so that he could easily find those. That's one thing that he wanted to keep was his mom's jewelry. We found quite a bit of it too. There's all the change that I emptied from the bags and the boxes. It'd be kind of neat to find out how much is there. There's got to be at least 4 cents there. At least. Now, our final thing that we did in this house was he has been living with his clothes on this couch for years. He's had no room to put his stuff away because he couldn't get rid of his mom's. So now that we have the closets cleared out and we have the chest of drawers cleared out, it means we can finally hang up all of his shirts, fold up his pants and put those away. If we would have had more closet space, I would have hung up everything. But we bought him brand new hangers and we happened to get 54 hangers, and there were exactly, down to the last one, enough hangers to hang up all of his shirts. So we know he had 54 shirts folded up on this couch. Then all the pants, sweatpants, pajama pants, and stuff like that just went into the dresser, and there happened to be exactly enough room to get all the pairs put in there. That's it. It took 4 days to do this video and the previous video, which if you haven't seen it yet, I'd go check it out. It's pretty cool. If you haven't become a member yet, don't feel like you have to. It's just an extra thing we do. But we have about 300 members in my members only section. Just look for the join button, or if you can't find it, ask around. Somebody will be able to help you figure it out. Members, I will see you on Wednesday. Everybody else, I'll see you next weekend. And you either have a good day or I will make you have a good day. I'm not putting up with it. Later.